Well, I wanted to do an example of using light. Now, if you look here, this section is one example of loop I made from using the bicycle. This is from the new update from Life. And then this is another section completely different, but I put them together and made two parts. Here's what this sounds like. I'll just give you a sample. I added in vintage reverb. This is from Valhalla. Both of these are actually. And this is a delay preset that I have. And here I'll show you what this sounds like by itself. And I'll skip ahead. Now this is just sitting in the track as some ear candy to have in the back. Then I did some drums here. So these are some to go with it. Sounds like this. I'm going to turn it down. It's not really mixed properly, but because I don't want this all extra in your ear. It's kind of like texture and percussion going on with that delay. Kind of gives it some interesting vibes. Now, so then I'm recording. I didn't do any trillion, so I'm gonna get rid of that just so it doesn't confuse you. Did some Rhodes using the Rhodes plugin. Dr. Mix, How Deep Is Your Love? Of course, I might pick this preset, but then I'll tweak. Like I synced the pan here, turned it down a little bit, turned up some drive that wasn't even on, and adjusted this preset a little bit. So it's not exactly this preset. But then I added that portion in, and I'm just gonna this time go ahead and unmute and then mute the bass and the guitar. So here's what that sounds like. Use some chords. Now I could scale lock my keyboard, but I just use scalar chords that I have. These are in G minor. And it's like some warm jazzy chords that I used, okay? And somebody asked me this in the past, but when you're using these type of chords with the human feel on it in scalar, which I hope they work on the algorithm, make it a lot better, or whatever they call this, that make sure you're using timing and velocity to get more humanization to it. Otherwise, it'll sound real stale and block chords. So if you look closely, you can see these are slightly off, slightly varied. And even the volumes in here are varied when you play it that way. Plus, I select them and then deviate them a little bit more just to give it a little more humanization. So make sure you use those techniques when you're doing this type of thing to make your chords sound a lot less predictable. Okay, so you hear that. Now I added in a bass. Now I played my jazz bass, muted with flat wound strings on it. You don't have to use that. You can use whatever bass you want. But here's what that sounds like. I'll add that back in. That's enough of that. So I'll show you what I used on here. You can use Mixbox. They have an 1176 as well as a LA2A in there that works just fine. I think they sound pretty good. I used the compressor Bass Direct on the LA2A for UAD. These are free, by the way. I didn't pay for these at all. UADA gave these away free, and I just grabbed them when they were free. And then on this compressor, this is the 1176. I just used the bass limiter. So it gives the bass a little grit, a little natural warmth that comes from it. And then I put Hayes 3 bass cabinet on here just to pan it a certain direction so that it doesn't all just sound smashed together. It has some air and space and movement, or it sits in different parts of the track sonically. That's the right way to say that, yeah. And then on ample sound, I just use my 335, the default. I always use that, and I play in my solos straight from the keyboard. I'm a firm believer, even with the bass, play all the way through if you can. At least do 16, and then if you need to go back and do another 16 that's separate, that's fine. But try to play as much of it as you can because it sounds better and it sounds more natural when you just play it versus trying to plug this in or something. I can't do that. It would sound really fake. It's hard to make stuff when you draw it in. You have to really know what you're doing with all that math of trying to find the spot where it sounds more natural. I'm just not interested. But if you are, just know that playing it does give you a better chance of having a more natural sound. Same thing with the guitar. So on this Ample Sound 335, and I use the guitar cab and Hayes 2 to kind of space the audio out a little bit. That has effect, I think they call it Haas effect. That's basically what it is. And then there you have it. So here's what the song sounds like collectively. Okay, so I'm not done with this song. Obviously, I'm still just working on just showing you. I meant to show you the drum bus. So down here on the drum bus, let me get to it. I always have drum kit enhancer, which is a roar preset for, and I don't change anything in there. And then Valhalla is just set for my air for the drum. And then if you look at the mixer, you'll see. Hold on, let me get rid of these latency things. You'll see over here the drum bus. I turn it the send all the way up, and then I adjust accordingly. Here's it on the percussion or the life portion of it, and then on addictive drums portion. So I'll adjust that, and then I need to do dropouts and things. I haven't even got that far, so I was thinking about maybe something like that. Just so it comes to an end, sort of, kind of, and then picks back up. But anyway, so there's that. And then, the master. So on the master, I use this plugin from Plugin Alliance, and I made my own mastering in here. See, Plugin Alliance. And this plugin is called Silver Bullet MK2, and it's kind of like giving me that 1200, that SP 1200 kind of grit, but it's so dialed in to where it doesn't sound bad all the way across. So you can put it on your master chain. This plugin I'm not using Barricade, but I use this on iOS as well as here to increase the as more of a limiter compressor. But since I'm using this, I'm not worried about this. Sometimes I double it up. But Haze always is on everything I do. Natural width, it's a preset built in. God Popsicle is basically like God Particle. And it's become a staple on my master chain. So even if I don't use these two will be on here. And this is Life's DAW, where you can record, place this on something and record on that track. I use it as a reference tool. So here, look, I'll watch the effect, like the way this track sounds, and then I can kind of just visibly see. So you see how it has, like, shows you the waveform where you can see kind of, it's peaking obviously there, so you could make adjustments accordingly if you want. So that's kind of what I use that for, and that's it for the whole track. So I haven't arranged it. I just recorded in 16 bars like this, and I know I'm supposed to be over here recording on this side, and I am gonna do that. But I think what I'm gonna do is use this for when I do drums, and maybe I could do even the bass or like even the lead stuff over here. Sometimes I'll use it for keys. It just depends on what I need. But this is kind of my bread and butter for working in here. So anyway, this is it. Just wanted to show you a track that I was doing, and I'm out.